Okay, my friends, welcome back to Argumentation Analysis Communication 2070. This is our second week, and now we are going to proceed with our discussions about arguments and things like that. Now, last week we started our discussion by referring to certain terms. Of course, we passingly covered like most of the things because this was like an introductory chapter and we haven't started talking about things in detail. So we started talking about the meaning of argument and what it means and what is considered an argument or not. Next week we will talk more about that because we will go into many details. We also talked about critical thinking and the idea of seeing things from more than one perspective. And of course, this is problematic for some people. They think that no, my point of view is always going to be correct. I don't need to go outside the box, as they call it, and it's better to live in my comfort zone and just listen to things that I feel comfortable with. Then we talked a little bit about the post-truth age and whether our world is a post-truth world. Some people say yes, some people say no. Of course, it's different argument. People have different opinions about that. The only thing we did not cover was about the question whether we could argue ethically or not. This was from last week, so we haven't started with chapter 2 yet. The question is whether we could argue ethically or not. And this is a question you don't have to answer, but you need to think about it. When I'm talking to someone about something, is my goal to win the argument, no matter what the price is, even if I use fallacies, even if I use like erroneous and problematic like syllogism? Or the answer is no, I want really to know the truth. Some people will say, like the majority of people, when they are answering that question, they will say, yes, definitely, I want to know the truth. I don't want to just impose my opinion on the other people or just get like a confirmation on my beliefs. But in reality, and this is the problem the authors highlight, like in every like argumentation text, they say that in many cases our arguments are related to our identity. They are inseparable. So when we try to argue about something, I really don't know, I don't want to know the truth. I want to prove that I am smart, that I know what I am talking about, that the things that I am saying are like real and correct, and I'm always, always, always right. Okay? It's a problem that we face a lot, and of course with the age of disinformation and psychological warfare and a lot of things, this is going to continue for some time. Now, the first thing is the issue of ethics. When we talk about arguing ethically, what does that even mean? Arguing ethically is when you are seeking the truth, trying to know what is right, what is correct, what is really the thing that we are supposed to be doing in relation to, for instance, taxes or presidential elections or congressional elections or abortion or things that are related to the LGBTQ community, conservative, liberals, all of these things. I have certain ethical values that are related to them. And as a human being, I also think I am right. What should I do? Should I just give up my faith if it is, for instance, a religious issue? Or no, I need to see things from a different perspective. That's one thing. Another thing, ethics, and this is one of our contemporary life problems. Ethics today is related more to the individual. We talk about individual ethics. Ethics are not supposed to be universal according to many people today. So your ethics say so and so, you do it your own way. My ethical values say something else. Now, if we go back to the time of Greeks and the Romans, the Greek civilization, the Roman civilization, the time when Socrates and Aristotle and Plato and many other people were active, were alive first. At that time, if you say so, you are a sophist, like you are just trying to manipulate words. Today, this has become the logic. And as we highlighted like last week, what is logical for some people is not always logical for other people. That's today, but in the past, that's not accepted thing. So are ethics and ethical values universal? they apply to you and me and everyone else in this class, or no, they are related to individuals. So what you think is ethical is yours, and what I think is ethical is mine. And if this is the case, and if it is perspectival, and if it is subjective, and if it is personal, how is that going to influence arguments? Okay? That's a question. You don't have to answer. You don't need to answer now. We will talk about that like later in class. The other thing about arguing ethically is that when we are arguing about something, and again, this is something that we are missing today a lot, unfortunately, is that we need to have dialogue, not a monologue. A lot of people in today's academic world, in the world of business, in politics specifically, they don't want to have a dialogue. Dialogue means that you talk and you get a response and you think about it, you deliberate, you construct your own argument or counter-argument, and then you respond. Today, what do we have? We have people who are just yelling at each other. They are telling each other what is correct. So instead of listening to the other person, thinking carefully about their argument, deliberating for a few minutes, or maybe hours or days, I don't know, we are just yelling at each other. And that's why a lot of people don't feel comfortable in certain situations, and instead of being engaged in a dialogue, they just leave. And I can tell you so many stories, whether I was teaching or in other places, where people just decide to withdraw. And this is like an example that I refer to always. I was teaching a writing class, that was probably in 2016 or 15, I don't remember exactly. And we were towards the end of the semester. We were discussing how to define concepts. Now, if I ask you to write a paper, where do you go if you want to define a concept? Google. That's when you want to know something for yourself, right? If you are in high school, Merriam-Webster dictionary, right? That's where we go when we want to define something, and we use the definition in a paper. And when you go to academia, and I don't know if you have taken writing classes or not so far, when you go in an academic institution and you want to write like a definition, you use the Oxford English Dictionary. Not the one that's free and available online. No, that's just a small copy, a small version of it. The Oxford English Dictionary, you have access to it through the Marriott Library website. So in the future, if you are writing a paper for this class or any other class and you want your definitions to be academic definitions, you go to the Oxford English Dictionary. One of the students, I said that, and he's like, why not some American dictionary? I said, because first, this is elaborate, detailed. It gives you the etymology of the word, so how the word developed through history, how it was used in different contexts, who used it first, how it appeared, what is its origin, and so on and so forth. He said, no, this is unacceptable. I said, why? He said, because you are saying that the British are better than us. And I was like, it has nothing to do with being better than us or worse than us. This is what scholars around the world have agreed, that this is the best dictionary for things. He's like, no, my national identity does not allow me to use that. I was like, how is that related? Anyway, he was so upset that he wrote an official complaint that he was taught anti-American things in class. And he did not take it like to the department chair or like the dean associate. No, he took it like to the vice president. And the vice president looked at it was like written well, like it was a very good, I saw it. And the vice president told him like, okay, what do you want now? Like, should we tell all these scholars around the world to change their idea because you don't like it or what? That's where we are. That's where we are. Think about it. Once we get outside our comfort zones, we feel offended. Now, if you are proud of your being like a citizen of a specific country and you think that someone did a better job, just go and do something better. Oxford English Dictionary has been there for a long time. Let's change it. I'm for it. Why should we have like British defining things for us? Let's go and change it. Do something better. Don't complain. But that's where we are. We hear anyone who is saying something that is different, and then we are like, we leave. Listen, think, respond. Another thing that we have, another problem that we are having, is the issue of manipulation. The entire semester will cover that topic. Manipulation happens when you use long syllogism, manipulated evidence. You play, for instance, with the evidence, you tamper evidence, you do certain things, okay? You cook the book, as they say, and you distort an argument and present it in a wrong way, okay? So you see a couple of like abusive moms and you say, oh, custody should go just to the man because of these two. Now, we are generalizing. That's a fallacy. We will talk about fallacies in the future. Or you see something in a specific place and use it as a justification for something else. Or you look at evidence and it's like scientific and you say, okay, but we need to be more careful when we are reading these numbers. And I have seen a lot of research used by the left and the right, so that no one is offended or everyone is offended. It's okay. Left and right, where numbers are manipulated in a specific way to support a political agenda. In our class, we will mainly talk about manipulation and how it is happening. So you can use it if you want. Or how to avoid it, if you really want to avoid it, and if you want to have like an ethical argument. Questions so far? No? No? Okay. Now we go to the new chapter, and it talks about the evolution of argument. And okay, I'm not supposed to say that. Like, this chapter has nothing to do with the evolution of argument because it talks just about social media and contemporary media outlets and things like that. So I really don't know how this is related. But again, politicization of academia is going too far. Anyway, when we talk about arguments today, we have witnessed, and this is how this chapter should have been written, change in the context. Arguments are the same. They haven't changed. They have evolved, but this is not about the evolution of arguments. The context has changed. The channels, the media, the medium or the media that we use for things has changed, and today we have technology that has influenced how we deal with things. Okay? Now, the first thing is about social media, and I don't know if people are using social media here. Anyone? No? I'm the only one who uses social media? Okay, okay. Like, without going to specifics, like, how much time do you spend on it, like, every day?
I just said too long.
Too long? Hour and a half? 30 minutes? I said for 30 minutes. I have like a timer. Once I reach it, because if I just go on, I will go on forever. No? Not many answers? Okay. You don't need to answer. Yes?
Oh, I was gonna say like an hour unless I'm at my job where I sit there and don't do anything. Then I might be on it for like 5.
Wait. You have a job where you don't have to do anything?
I have a job where I don't have to do anything.
Please hire me. What kind of job is that?
I work at a ring kiosk in the mall, so I get paid $18 an hour to sit there and people watch. Or social media watch. Oh, it's great.
Okay, let's talk about it after class. That's cool. Okay. Now, when we are talking about social media and how it works and how much time we spend on it, the first thing that we need to know is that today, was that like a question in the quiz? Today, the word communication is a synonym to the word communication. Social media and synonym today are the same thing. If you have like a page on Facebook or Instagram or I don't know, like whatever, then you are communicating with people. Having a website only is not really taking you anywhere. A lot of organizations, like even if you think about like even most secure like organizations, like FBI, even those people have like some websites that are related to them in one way or another. Department of Homeland Security, the White House, companies like Microsoft, Apple, everyone else, they have their own presence on social media because without that presence, they will not even exist. And unfortunately, we are also like, we got the same problem, okay? We have contracted that virus, okay? But again, it is important today to have like an access to social media in order to communicate with people. Now, according to our textbook, and I don't know if these numbers are correct or not, average Americans are spending 1,300 hours a year. Just imagine. Is that too much? Just imagine what can you do with that time.
A whole new skill.
What's that?
You learn a whole new skill. Time pretty easily.
Yeah. Lots of things. So this is the time that people spend. Of course, today it is like the main source of information for those, of course, who follow certain pages. How many people have bought a newspaper recently? No one, probably. A magazine? Just one person, 2, 3, among 30, approximately. So just fewer and fewer people. Well, in the past, like 20 or 30 years ago, people were always using the newspaper. Like if you go back to some like funny pictures, people were just holding newspapers while waiting for the train or the tracks or the bus. That's what people do. They want to be distracted anyway. So they just do that. That was like the situation. Today, this is where we are getting our information from. How many people have like visited, for instance, the Wall Street Journal website to get information? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like the website, not the page on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, okay. Now, it's a bigger number, but again, it's not the majority. Other places, like do you go like CNN, Fox, like directly? Again, just a minority, not really that much. That's why, yes, still a minority, not even like 10. That's the problem that we are having, that we are going to websites and pages, mainly, like Facebook or Instagram or other places in order to have access to information. In the past, we used to go to the source itself. And that's not really a problem. Like even if you go like to like Facebook to know what the Washington Post is saying or the Wall Street Journal, that's still fine. The problem is that we get like a post from someone, something that's sponsored, okay? You go there and they mention like a researcher at Stanford said so and so, and you don't know who that is, and you don't even know what kind of field they have, and they start talking about things and they start to educate you about things, and you hear it. What is the danger in that? The danger is that even if the information is not reliable, we internalize it, it goes to the subconscious mind, it stays there in our mind. Even if we don't remember exactly who said what, it stays there and it starts to build with other types of information because they overlap. And then you take that thing that you read and you did not even know for sure whether this is correct or not, you start to take it for granted. This type of information, something that we are not sure about, is called doxastic knowledge. Did we mention that before? Doxastic. So there is the word doxa, and there is doxastic knowledge. Doxastic knowledge is knowledge that is not confirmed. You don't know. Like, have you been in Paris before? You have an idea about what people do or say there. We have watched maybe like some shows like Emily in Paris or something like that. I don't know. But you have a vague idea about something, someone, a place, politician, someone like an artist or an activist or anything else. You have an idea, but it's not really something authentic. The danger of doxastic knowledge is that when it stays in our heads and it connects with other pieces of information and there is a chance for it to confirm our biases, that's when we start to use it unconsciously to pass judgment on people or things. Okay? So that's the main source of information. Of course, you know very well that algorithms play a role. So because you search for certain things, Google or whatever search engine you are using will start like making assumptions about how you think. And I use that example specifically, me creating a PowerPoint looking for pictures about dying with dignity, and immediately Google started to assume that I'm trying to die or commit suicide or something like that. The problem is that if you continue to search, for instance, for certain things, the same results will pop up again. I was writing a paper about conservative discourse about a specific issue, and I was like looking for a lot of videos on YouTube. Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and people like that. And because that research like took like some time when I was collecting the material, Google or YouTube started to make assumptions about who I am. And now every time I open my like YouTube account, the same 3 people appear to me all the time. How did they know that I am like a follower or fan of these people? Because I just searched for them for like some time. Again, that's the same problem. And that's why when you open like or search for certain things here in the United States, and then you go, for instance, to I don't know what country, you search for things and you get different results, which means that people do not have equal access to the same information. That's one problem, of course. The other problem is that Google itself is going to show you things if they are sponsored, and sometimes people pay so that their brands or names or things pop up first. And this is something that reputation management people use like frequently in order to control certain crises. Another thing is that this is tricky, like the use of social media and other like things is a tricky because sometimes false information like disseminates around like, and we get like a lot of information that's not really true. Okay, and the worst part, if this false information goes viral. Okay, so this is a bigger problem. The problem is when like falsehoods and fake news become the reality, and people accept it without authenticating like the information, without checking. So it's doxastic knowledge, it's wrong, and because of its ubiquity over the internet, we get it, we consume it, it stays with us, and we start judging people and things according to that information, which is in itself problematic. And by the way, people who create false like content, they do it with like precision and lots of like hard work. So they don't just tell you like lies. They get you a lot of information that is authentic, and within that information, they embed something in the middle and they confuse you because you cannot really authenticate. Like if I tell you, for instance, a story about something and 90% of the story is true, but 10% of it is not really true, you will get it and you will assume that this is a fact and you will go on. And it's not going to work for you. That will be doing disservice for you. But again, that's how our world is today. And that's why people like sometimes talk about the post-truth age. Now, social media and of course the internet in general work as a filter. So they filter the information that reaches audiences. Again, if you are like liberal or conservative or whatever, or you have like certain interests, the internet and social media specifically will show you things that are related to things. I was trying to buy like a watch a few months ago, and I was looking for a watch specific brand, but it's very expensive, so I was like, let me buy like something used. And because I started to watch on like look for things on Facebook and Amazon and other places, all the content that was coming to me was about watches. Even things that are like history of watches, how to like identify a fake Rolex watch. This watch is available in this museum. Like, really? Like that far? No, please stop it. But again, that's what you get. So they filter the information, of course, according to the algorithms. They also like provide you with lens that you use when you are given like certain things. Again, if they assume that you are left or right, they start to give you results that are related to that thing. Okay? Questions so far? No? Okay. Now, social media has been used as an extremely powerful tool for activism. And if you want to be an activist today, and this is, by the way, a new job, like you could be paid because of the commercials that appear on your page if you have like a lot of followers. So it has opened a new like revenue for people. People start their activism on social media because there's like easy access. All you have to do is just get like some information and tell people that this is like a personal page or cause or an organization, and you start paying some money, and then you start reaching a lot of people. Okay, and then it appears that you are an activist, and by chance millions of people will be following you. We will mention like some examples. So that's going to happen. There is always communication with like-minded individuals through social media, through the groups, whether they are closed groups or open groups, whether they are like even pages, and you start talking. For instance, there's like a page, the other 98 or 99, I don't remember, like on Facebook. This is like a liberal page that attacks, for instance, conservatives, or there are like other pages that attack like liberals. You will be seeing things that are tailored to you because you have decided to choose that or follow specific pages and specific like arguments. Because people could be active, and because it's easy to stay active on social media, all you have to do is just to be a member of a group or follow a page or something like that. That started to lead to something that we call slacktivism. Any idea what that term is?
It's almost like social loafing when it comes to activism, because people do like something like signing a petition or like a GoFundMe, and they contribute to that, and then they think that that's all that the issue.
Yeah. So if you want to call like for defense civil rights or rights of this or that group, all you have to do is just to put a like or sign a petition, as you said, on social media, and that's all. Like in the past, activists used to be, I don't know, like they were like endangering their lives. Like think about like the civil rights movement like 50 years ago or more. Like these people were fighting for a cause, and some people were assassinated, beaten, like arrested, sent to prisons. And we still have that like in other countries around the world, although we have started to have like political prisoners recently. But it's getting like, now it's easy for people. I'm an activist. All you have to do is to have like a page on social media. Okay? And the problem, okay, that a lot of people started to believe that this is enough, while it's not. Social pressure through social media is great. It's awesome. But it's not the end. This could be the beginning, but not the end. But again, because social dynamics, life, relationships have changed, we started to have things like that. Now, do we have examples, of course, that are related to like activism on social media? Yes. The Arab Spring that started in 2010, 2011, this is just an example. I'll comment on it on the following slide. Black Lives Matter, this is in the United States, and you have seen what happened with it. Of course, so many things and so many reactions. So people started to talk about all lives matter or blue lives matter or things that are related to that. The issue of George Floyd and a lot of people. Of course, this is like still an ongoing thing in the United States, and it is really a big deal. So it's still there. The Me Too movement, I don't know if you followed the news at that time, like when it started. When it started. Okay. I was sleeping, I woke up in the morning, I was just hardly like able to open my eyes, and I was like, what is this? Why all my friends are saying Me Too? Is that a game? That's what I thought like at the beginning, and I was going to write Me 3. It's good that I didn't do that. And then like after washing my face and waking up and getting my portion of tea, I was like, oh, this is a serious thing. And it just sparked like a fire, like one person, and then millions, and then even billions probably, I don't know. And it's not just here in the United States. It started here, but it went to other countries, people in Britain, in France, in Korea, in like all around the globe. Everyone was talking about the Me Too movement. Now, some people say, oh, it failed, blah, blah, blah. That's a different situation. But that can show you the power of social media. What's the name of that person in Hollywood? Finkelstein? Who? Yes. So I was not even close with the pronunciation. Yes. Like this is one of the, he's not a victim, but he's one of the people who fell from grace because of the Me Too movement. Trump also was attacked. A lot of people came forward. And then we had like some stories that are true and other stories that are not true and they were based on lies. Okay? And that's when people started to argue like against this movement. But again, it's a strong movement, very powerful. It's not really like a big thing today, but at that time it was really, really powerful to the extent that people started to change even their behavioral patterns. And I have known people who have, like some professors, they used to sit like without any problem with their students, and they, like when, especially with the graduate students, they close the door and this is completely normal. One of the professors was like, I'm not going to have anyone closing the door from now on. And there was like a person, it was a joke, but he made it look like real. He brought like a camera, he put it in his office, and he said the camera is always on. It's just like because he was scared. He did not want to be involved in any problems with anyone. Because sometimes people just go forward and, oh, this person did so and so to me. So that was a problem. Now, these two movements were spontaneous. Someone said something, then people started to follow. The Arab Spring, because I'm coming from that part of the world, was a little bit different. It started with a real spark. There was like a street vendor. The government, the police took his like material or commodities, and I don't know if they were beating him or not, but something happened to him. Then he burned himself, and then everyone was talking about the Arab Spring because a government immediately like fell in Tunisia. That was the beginning. But then things started to take a specific pattern. Protests, radical protests. Protests, violence. Protests, and then something else. And that was repeated in more than one country. The interesting thing, and as I'm speaking here as a follower of these events because I was like focused on the news all the time, all the governments in which the Arab Spring happened were like all the countries, the governments of the countries in which the Arab Spring happened are the countries that did not have any good, like some good relation with the United States. So the leader in like in Tunisia, well, not really our best friend. The one in Libya, not really our best friend. In Egypt, he was like, taking a lot of money, so we were like, even if he goes, it's okay. But a country like Saudi Arabia, nothing. United Arab Emirates, nothing. Bahrain protests, and they were silenced, and no one here said anything, although there were like violations of human rights. So it's only the leaders that we did not like that were forced to step down or even killed in the Arab Spring. Now, I couldn't find any proof for any American intervention in the Arab Spring. But then I was reading a book about psychological operations. The title is Psychology and Modern Warfare. And in that book, I was reading a paragraph which I really wanted to share with you. The author is talking about psychological operations and things. And then they say, in June 2010, the United States Air Force solicited for persona management software. What? That would enable the operator to exercise a number of different online personas. Software was developed by this company and was used for astroturfing in the Middle East. So the revolution that started with one person, spontaneous thing, and then it was taking like a specific shape, we were active. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is taken from a real book written by a real expert. This is not a theory. This is a fact. Okay? Now we say that we don't interfere with the domestic issues of other countries. What's that? Yeah, we totally do. Actually, there is nothing that happens in the world without our fingers. That's what we today. So this is just an example of how things are done. Now a question. What if this is really what's happening everywhere with every social movement? What if this was really used in the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Me Too movement, any kind of movement? Isn't that really scary? You see ubiquity, complete presence of certain people, certain types of activists, and then you discover that this is not real and it's online personas because they wanted to create or add some weight to certain political movements. You know what astroturfing is, right? Astroturfing in media. Astroturfing is when you have software or people who are fake. No, sorry. You are real. People who are entering the internet or certain websites or certain pages, Facebook or Instagram, and they talk and they are not really in their own identities. It's not just a hidden identity, but you have 10 accounts, 20 accounts, 30 accounts, 50 accounts, and you go to social media and you start commenting and creating fights among people, making people feel, erroneously of course, that there is real support for a specific movement, while in reality, this is just a fake online persona. How many of our beliefs about the power and presence and success of so many social movements and ideas that are promoted online, how many of them are just supported by people who are not real? Now that's really scary, because now when I speak about certain things, I speak with confidence. This thing has thousands and thousands of followers. And then you discover that there is a software that can do this. Companies now can use it. People in different organizations, enemies of the country that want to create false support for specific politicians. All of that is possible. And think about it. If this is a corporation that sold its product to the military or to the Air Force, it's very likely that they have sold the same thing, the same software to companies, public relations companies. It's completely normal and it can always happen. Yes?
People can actually buy that sort of stuff for themselves for like the social media things. People usually call them bots nowadays, but
Yeah.
people will buy them for their own social media. So there's this like person who might have like 20 real followers, but they have like 20K on their Instagram because they bought all of them.
Yeah. You can do so many things. Astroturfing and this kind of practices is really common today. And companies just want to, I don't know if you are like, of course, many people are like shopping from Amazon. Now when you are checking things or you try to see something and you want to buy it, it says 500 people bought this last month. 10,000 people viewed this last month, things like that. So they are always giving you that impression because bandwagoning is something that we easily use. So, oh, this is great, 10,000 people have bought this product, let me also buy it because I need it. Okay? This is how dangerous and how we are really living in a post-truth world in which even people are no longer real people. We cannot even be sure that we are talking to real people anymore. Like some people say, oh, I have like 1,000 friends on Facebook. How many of them are really there for you when you need it? They are on Facebook, or on Instagram or anywhere else, but are they real? A friend of mine was telling me that he was talking to a friend and he was asking him like, hey, are you planning to travel this summer? Are you going anywhere? He said, no, I don't think that I have enough money. I have like some debts and I need to work. He was sending that on WhatsApp. And in WhatsApp, you can know if the person has read the message or not. So my friend was telling me that his friend saw the message and he did not respond. My friend told me that he was like sad because he thought that his friend just decided to ignore him and did not say anything to him. Like he did not want to help, so he did not respond to his messages. He said that after like 15 minutes, someone was knocking on the door. He opened the door and he saw his friend with $10,000 telling him, get that money, go and have fun. That's a friend. Thousands of people who are good for nothing, go to hell. He was like surprised because just imagine like the situation. You are talking to a person about like your financial needs and you immediately find someone outside. That was like, it really made me like happy that there are such people like in this world now. But again, with these too many people that we have, like you have thousands, but again, in reality, they don't even exist. That's what we are facing today. Visual media is another thing that, according to the authors, has changed like our life and the way we deal with the media and the way arguments are constructed. And visual media like TV, like movies, like things like that, first, they are source of entertainment for sure. For sure, they are a source of entertainment. Of course, when you watch Barbie, when you watch No Hard Feelings, this is just for entertainment. But how many of us use it as a source of argumentative content? I don't know if this news is it true or false news or fake news, like many other things that we are hearing. Did you hear about people breaking up after watching Barbie? Did you hear about that? Yes. Do you know anyone who has like decided to break up, really? No. So you just hear, you know, just because of the movie.
It wasn't just because of the movie.
It is.
But it was just something that was like pointed out to them in the movie.
Okay.
So it would be more like if you were already with someone and were already not like clicking and then something happens and you're like, that's the last straw.
Oh, so that's exactly the problem. I did not have a name for it. Now I can name it, so let's break up. No, a lot of, if we just try to evaluate a lot of the things that we accept and believe, the majority of our ideas will probably come from media outlets, from movies. Think about it, and I use that example a lot. How do you feel, girls specifically, how do you feel when you are driving a car, convertible, the ocean is on the other side, you are driving fast, and your hair is just, how do you feel about that? Awesome, right? Why?
Yeah. You feel free. Yeah.
Free. What is free? Can you drive in the wrong direction?
If you want to get hit, like you can.
But you cannot do it.
Well, you can.
I
It's
mean,
just
you
not a good
shouldn't.
idea.
Yeah, what's going to happen to you is that you are going to die. So instead of having fun, you are going to have an accident.
It's that you can, but there's just consequences.
Yeah, of course. We can do everything. So you cannot really do it. Can you drive over speed limit? Like if the speed limit is 40, you will drive at 70 or 80? You can. When I'm talking about can, like without consequences.
You're not supposed to.
You are not supposed to.
But we live in.
Okay. Can you just change lane without using signals? Can you just drive? You don't. Okay.
As long as you look where you're
You don't look. You just don't care. Without consequences. Again, there is no police car like behind you. Now, where is the freedom exactly here? The only freedom that is there is with your hair. And even your hair is not free because it's connected to your head. Which means that there is no freedom at all in that situation. But it's the power of the media that has made us believe that this is something important. Look at the concepts that you are using, and most of our class discussions will be about that in addition to the fallacies. How many things that we accept, cherish even, think that they are really valuable, really great, and they are coming from, and if we think about them carefully, there is no freedom at all. There is no freedom. Like if you think about it, How many, like you are free to live the way you want. How many gates do you have here? There's just one door. You can jump. But what's going to happen?
Depends on how it's like.
So even like it's too high. It's too high. So that's the problem. There are a lot of things that are part of our thinking systems. But if we analyze them carefully, they will be just gone. A lot of things that are related to concept of freedom. They don't exist because simply, and if you are like, I don't know what your major is, but if you are like reading Michel Foucault, there is no freedom at all. There are certain structures in the choices that we have, and we have always to make a limited number of choices, and that's all. No matter how free you think you are, the number of choices that you have, even if they are so many or too many, you are still limited. Yes?
So like when you say like freedom, so obviously like America is one of the countries in the world that like has a lot more than other places. But like people like move and immigrate to America to be free. So like I don't know. Like what you're saying is so confusing to me.
Okay. When people come here, are they really free?
No.
Can I go and smoke weed?
Yeah.
Not any kind of weed, you know, specific types of drugs.
Well, yeah, you could. You couldn't here, but you could in like Colorado and California.
Yeah. So there are certain types of products that I cannot consume. Driving, speed limit, certain laws and regulations, coming to the university. We don't have a dress code, for instance, for the university. I don't know if you are familiar with that. There are no dress code, like different universities, there is no dress code. Can someone come in their bikinis? They can. But is that even something normal? Like, what kind of thing? There is no dress code, I'm free, I will be wearing a bikini and go to class. Again. During the pandemic, someone was like, no, I'm not going to wear a mask, it's against my freedom. And then he was pulled from class. The idea of a freedom, if we want to analyze it like philosophically and even ontologically when it comes to practice, even if you are free to choose, the number of choices that you have is very limited. Can you give me like a situation when you can choose anything and it is really achievable? Like I come here for religious freedom because in my country I cannot practice certain religious practices. But again, can I really do everything that I want? Without consequences. Because there are consequences and you are not free. Something that I can do and choose without any consequences. Is there such a thing? Please tell me if you know. I would love to know. What's that?
So work at the mall, be on Instagram.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah, don't leave after class. You need to tell me about it. The problem with the freedom, we have been talking about it, and people have been talking about democracy and about deliberative democracy and how we need to elaborate according to correct information that we get, and then we build our judgments. Even if this is the case, think about it. America, the biggest country with freedom, but how many choices do you have?
Breathing.
What's that?
Breathing.
That's the only choice, and sometimes it's not really available, and even that comes with a price sometimes, because if you
How many choices do you have? That's more than you would have had.
say that again.
The choices, like in the example of coming to America to be free or whatever, it's just more choices and more freedoms than you would have had. It's not necessarily all the freedoms in the world, but it was the ones you were looking for. It's ones you didn't have before.
Yes, that's for people who are coming from a country where there's like an oppressive regime, for sure. But again, when you come here, what are, like, how many alternatives? Does that make sense? Does the argument make sense? Theoretically, we are free. I can choose whatever I want. I can sit here, 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 here. But even if I have choices, there are like 50 seats probably in this classroom. That's the limit. But having multiplicity of choices is not an equivalent to the word freedom. And when I'm talking about freedom, I'm talking about freedom without consequences. One of the things that I notice is that there is nothing that doesn't come with a price. Even like a simple act like dyeing your hair, even that will come with a price. Not just the price that you pay to get the color, but the way your hair will be influenced, even that simple thing will have some results and consequences. What is really free other than breathing? And now even if we want to breathe like clean air, you have to go up the mountains so that you really get like some clean air. And even that is not really free. You see how complex the situation is? The idea of freedom, no matter how much we love it, and I love it. I love to have the freedom, but there are things that I cannot do. So it's convenient that I sit here or stand here, but if I just decide to sit like that and talk, people will be like, this is really awkward. Like, why are you sitting like that? Or I just go in the back and sit and talk. That will be also awkward because either people just stay looking at the board or the screen and it will be like they will not be able to hear in the same way, or they have to turn their faces and that will be also awkward. Like, think about it. Like if someone comes to this classroom and they see me in this situation, are they going to say, oh, this is completely normal? So no matter how free we are, there will be always a limitation of the options that we have. And this is an unfortunate thing for us. Yes, as people say, we have more freedoms than a lot of people in other countries. But that doesn't mean that freedom is completely unlimited. That's the problem. Okay? So that's the content that we have. The other thing is the problem of visual literacy. And this is a serious problem for us. When we see things in a specific situation, it's very likely that we can get it wrong. We see a lot of pictures, we see a lot of visuals, we see a lot of images and videos. And when we look at things, it's very likely that we are going to misinterpret what we have. And that's another problem. And according to our authors, the majority of college students are woefully inadequate at evaluating pictures. Now, wait a minute, that's offensive. I'm a college student, I'm smart, I know how to do things. But no, reality is different from dreams. And while we would love to be the best, literacy is not just about words and reading, but it's also about interpreting certain images in a specific way. Okay? This is just an example. Now, live videos are also important. Sometimes you use them for, I don't know if you call this a good purpose or not. When we are talking about videos, they give us some opportunities, but also some challenges. One of the problems that we have or face when we go online and we go live is that our audiences in many cases are going to be distracted. Distraction is one of the social diseases, let me say, in our world. Our attention span is getting lower and lower, shorter and shorter. And while in the past people were able to sit for 3 hours listening to a speaker, today people's attention span without interaction, direct interaction, is very low, like 15 minutes or sometimes even less. So you have to do something and you act and you start to talk to people specifically or raise questions or have a dialogue with them so that people start responding to you. Other than that, it's very easy in classes, especially for people sitting in the back, just to be distracted. Very easy. And with computers, and you can open as many tabs as you can, it's very easy to go outside the classroom, although physically you are inside that classroom. Again, it's a problem. The other thing is that there is a quick work. So I don't know if this is professional or not, although the way the camera is held and her face is not there completely. It can show you that there is a difference between professional work, work that's done by, for instance, CNN or Fox or CNBC or other website, news agencies or media outlets, and me standing in front of my phone. Hey fans, how are you today? things like that. That's unprofessional. So the quality of the videos that we are going to watch is going to be different. There are also, and you don't have to agree with me. The author says that there are comments, like on social media, for instance, there's like something on Facebook, a post or video or something, and then people start to comment, and that comment or comments will shape the argument. That's not necessarily true. They don't shape the argument. This is a counter argument, an independent argument to the main argument. It's not the same. It's different. It's a different world. Okay? So the argument itself is as it is. The perception changes. The way people handle it changes. But the argument itself is not shaped or reshaped by certain things. A problem of videos, live videos specifically, is when we decontextualize it. So we judge a video based on exactly what we see without thinking of anything like outside it. And reading a text without a context is extremely, extremely dangerous. We will talk about that like more in the future. Or sometimes you recontextualize it. So you get like, for instance, a video for George W. Bush saying something. It's a joke. It's a silly joke. And you apply it to another situation, for instance, about a serious issue. That's a disaster. People can take videos and reproduce them in a specific way, recontextualize them. That will lead to disasters. That will distort the argument or the way it is if people assume that this is like true. The bystander effect is another problem that we have when we hear something, for instance, and we see something on social media. We assume that, oh, there are so many people like supporting the Me Too movement, so I'm not going to care or support it. Or, oh, there are people who are interested in that, so I'm not going to support that because I'll spend my time or more time on something else. Because people do that. The bystander effect is really dangerous for a lot of people because it changes the way we deal with serious events, serious problems. And while there are like things that we need to focus on because of the bystander effect, we just decide not to do anything and just relax and chill. And that's a serious problem. Deep fakes. Love them. Okay. Deep fakes are all about misinformation. There is nothing good that comes from them unless you are trying to do like a simple, nice joke about yourself. In that case, there will be no harm. But in reality, like most of the deep fakes are used to harm people, to hurt people, to do bad things to people in different ways. Now, when we see a deep fake, for instance, you get the president, Joe Biden, and you put words on his mouth. If they fit with your, for instance, you get someone saying good things about something. Okay, I don't want to go very specific. Okay. I don't like, for instance, this or that person. And then someone uses deep fake and they say things that, oh, of course, this comes from Trump or Biden. Okay? I will be very happy with those because they confirm my biases. They work with my worldview. Okay? So just imagine, for instance, that you see like deep fake about Biden saying that he will open the borders for anyone who wants to come to this country, for instance. It's probable that we believe it because we know that Biden does not have a problem with immigration. But when it comes from a Trump, no, definitely this is wrong. Something is wrong. Even if we see his face and mouth and things like that, we will not accept it because we know that this is not happening. The other thing about fakes is that they are doubled in a very short time. So like 600, 12, I don't know, like they will be doubled and tripled in a very quick time. And in the near future, they are going to be more. Now, deep fakes have been used to hurt people. Do you know who is this? Anyone? Anyone uses Twitch? Twitch? Do you know what? You know her? So she calls herself QT, which means cutie. Cutie Cinderella. I think her name is Blair. I'm not sure about her real name. And she's famous like content creator on Twitch. She has been there for some time. She has like lots of people who watch like the things that she creates. And all of a sudden, she appeared in a short porn. They got her pictures, which are many, and they created a short porn movie for her. And she was crying. Of course, when she knew about it, she was crying. She appeared on TV and F the internet, F patriarchy, F misogyny, F so and so. And she was effing like a lot of things. And she was really in a bad shape when she appeared on TV because she was really sad. Of course, it's an embarrassing thing. Like, just imagine that you have like innocent pictures online and then people misuse them to create deepfakes for you, and then you discover that you are like a porn star. And just imagine what happens if millions and millions of people watch that thing. Like, what's your reaction is going to be? Okay? So this thing really hurts individuals and hurts society, because in the future we will not be able to know anything about anyone. Deepfake was like a dream for some people in the past. Now it has become a reality. Is there anyone familiar with the Blacklist? Do you know what that is? James Spader's Blacklist? No? Yeah, one of the episodes is about like a person who appears on social media saying that he's going to blow up himself in a specific, like somewhere. And the police like identify his car through his, like where he is through his phone. And he's holding his phone in his hand. There is nothing. He has no explosives. There is nothing. It was deep fake. So the police tell him to stop. He tries to raise his hand with the phone in his hand. They don't see him well. They just kill him. It's not real. It's like in a TV show. Okay? But how many times are we going to believe certain things before we know that this was like fake? How many people are going to be killed or lose their reputation or lose their jobs because of a deep fake? Again, this QT Cinderella is one of the examples, and of course there are so many people who have suffered from the same situation, and again it's getting like worse and worse by day. Now, memes are a lovely thing. People have been... Do you have a favorite meme? I will show you mine in a minute. So the meme, according to Richard Dawkins, this is a unit of cultural transmission because it's repeated and because people hear about it a lot and because it circulates over different like media outlets, I don't know, like Facebook or whatever. They become part of the cultural transmission. And he says also that it's a unit of imitation, but I really don't know if this is like people in the media imitating some certain true things, or reality is created because of a meme. Because we can have different like perspectives about that. Think about the meme is that they go viral, and that's why they become like a meme. They mutate. So there will be like not just themselves, like they will develop and you will see more of them, but probably they are going to be like adapted, as we are going to explain. The problem with like memes is that they oversimplify certain situations because it's just a picture. It doesn't have like a specific context. It doesn't really have all the details. So it oversimplifies situations and it distorts reality. Now, what is this? Any idea? How many people have seen this before? Okay, the majority, almost everyone. Okay, what is this?
It's a pretty classic meme where usually there'll be a word on the girl in red and the guy's like looking at it, and then the other girl's offended because he's like looking at it.
Okay. Good. So this is the thing. This is the original picture. The photographer said that he did not expect it to go viral. Okay, and it's all around the world. By the way, these people I think are from Spain, the three of them, Mario and Laura, and I don't know who that is. Okay, but again, it tells you a lot of things. Now, do you think that this meme is based on reality? There is no wrong answer. And you are free to talk. Don't worry. Just say it. Do you think that this is based on reality? Is this what we have in our life? You agree?
I agree.
Okay. This is what we have. Do you agree? Okay. Okay. Does anyone feel offended by this meme? Think that no, this is like against men, for instance, that this is like making fun of men. It's enhancing certain beliefs about men, which are wrong. Not all men are like that. Anyone?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Is this like specifically a situation with like this only situation, or can it apply to like what we're talking about, like the words? Because like, are we just talking about like a guy checking out another girl?
Yeah, so this is the original
That's the only
picture.
thing
Yeah,
that
this is
we're
a
looking at.
yes, this is the general picture without any words. This is how it appeared first. Then we started to add pictures or words, boxes and words. So this is the picture.
Okay. I don't feel like that's reality.
This is not reality. Not all men are like that.
Right.
Okay, good. Any other interpretation? Yes.
The reason I said I agree is because, like, it might not be all men, but there are a good amount out there where, like, this is a very possible scenario.
Excellent. What does it tell us about men?
They're human.
Who said that? They are what?
They're human.
What does that mean?
I think it's like a human psychological trait to always want what you don't have. The grass is always greener on the other side.
Oh, okay. Good and nice way to say it. Because his eyes are somewhere else. Because this one has the same thing, but again, it's okay. Good interpretation. Good, I love it. Anything else? Anything else about what does it educate us? What does it tell us? That these are men, not of course everyone. This is about our desire to get what we don't have. Not really all of them are, but some are or many are. Anything else? Okay. You don't have to answer this question. Have you been in this situation or in this situation? Or in both? You don't have to answer this question. I know it's difficult. Okay. You all said that or the majority said that they have seen this meme and that they know what happens here, and then it reflects certain things and talks about certain issues, and it reveals social problems. And this is a social problem, not just because men like look at something or try to get something they don't have, but because they are, and this is like a true, men are more visual when it comes to sensations. They love colors, they love movements, they love the contrast of colors. The physical aspect, the way they look, is very specific, and that's how probably like the entire fashion industry is built. We call it the male gaze, and there's so much research about it. Okay? Now, we have focused on the man. Now, how many people have seen this? You have seen that. Just one person. Anyone else? Now, what does this say?
The exact same thing.
Okay. Is it real? Yes?
I
Yes?
think this one shows that men are more defensive, whereas the last one shows that the girl is more offended.
Okay.
From what I can tell, you can see the guy is clearly like
Trying to hold her.
Exactly. I think he's being more defensive.
Okay.
And, like doesn't want her to look at all, whereas the girl is kind of just offended by it and
Yes.
might she say something later, but in the moment it's kind of like what the heck, you know? I think
Okay.
That's what I can do.
Okay. Okay. Very good point. Anything else? Some people raise their hands. Yes? She is hypocritical. Is that, can we say the same about the guy in the previous picture? Okay. Anything else? Yes?
I will say, like, both are, like, so accurate, but there definitely is, like, a double standard there. Like, seeing the guy one, you're like, oh, yeah, like, that happens all the time. But like the girl thing, like that happens too, but I feel like it's like double
get more
standard.
penalized for it.
Are you saying that there is bias against men?
I just feel like in this situation.
Yes, yes.
In this situation.
In this situation, yes, okay.
Like if a girl was like caught, like if the guy's defensive, but if the girl's caught like looking at another guy, they'll be like, oh, like you're.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Question. In comparison to the previous picture, like when we talk about percentage, like 1 to 1, 1 to 5, 1 to million, how many times does this happen in reality in comparison to the other one in the previous picture? Yes?
I feel like from a societal standpoint, this happens like a lot
This.
less than like the reverse.
Okay. So 1 5, 1 10,
I don't know.
1,000.
Something I noticed is this supposed to be like the reverse of
Yes.
the picture that we just saw. And even in the reverse, where we're like, oh, now it's the woman doing it, she's looking at his face, and the guy was looking at the other girl's butt.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah, I did not see that. Yeah, I don't know what she's looking at exactly. Okay. Like his neck, maybe? I don't know. His shoulders? Oh, okay. Good point. Okay. So this also happens, but it's really way less than that one. Okay. They show some hypocrisy when we are reacting to them. It also shows that, are we here also biased against men or women when we talk about this? Why the previous picture is very common and the majority of people saw it, why this picture was seen only by one person?
Because on the internet, you know what people are going to be a little more socially accepting of. Because if you put that into a meme, people are going to probably get way more offended than if you have the guy being the one who's doing the looking. People are.
Are you saying that like when our society is just
Like our society, since like the guy looking up
Is more socially
is more socially acceptable, that people are less likely to get offended.
where are you going? We still have 8 minutes. Wait.
I mean, women are just like far more sexualized than men, so like to see this, it's like not common to like.
That's
be
true.
Like, oh yeah, like she's sexualizing him. Like, but the reverse, when he's staring at the girl's butt, like it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if you are familiar with Julia Woods. She wrote a book about, the book is entitled Gendered Lives. It's about communication and gender and how people think. She talks, like this is a textbook, a very good textbook, and she talks about like how people choose their partners. And according to her, I have nothing to do with this. This is uncommon and not really something that happens, again, way less, because women's depiction of the partner is not mainly dependent or reliable or does not rely really that much on physical appearance. I'm talking about long-term relationships. There are like other, again, this is her opinion, mainly economic factors. A person to build a life with, they need to be like financially secure, they need to have a stable job. That's what matters more. This is her argument, according to some research that she found. I did not trace all that research, but that's what her research says. Men, on the other hand, are mainly visual. They focus on finding something visually pleasing, visually appealing, and that's how they choose their partners. Okay? Do you have any questions so far? No? Yes?
So is this like, so what you just told us, is this like going more towards like why we think that way? Or?
It seems that we are like set up that way. It seems that this is it. Now, is that related to social factors or biological factors? I don't know. But one of the things that I have read a lot of research on, because I did my master's on feminism and gender studies and continued to teach about this topic like for some time, men are really visual, definitely visual. That's part of how they are physically constructed. Okay? So part of it is, yes, I'm sure about it. That's what research has said. Is it like mainly like it's physical? They are easily like manipulated by colors, by what they see, by what they hear or smell. They are like in many cases sensational. Okay, now that changes with age, with experience, with education, with like social background, with religious values, but like making the man notice something, notice, not necessarily turn his face just like the guy in the other picture. Making the man notice something relies on the contrast of colors so much. Like it's kind of unavoidable thing. Again, is it like mainly it seems to be physical. But some people say that this is like cultural and related to society and how people are raised. I don't know. Mainly like that's